Okay, good day. I will try my best to answer your question, but it seems for me in there it was not properly framed. But I will use my intuition and I hope I answer your question right. And I will try to answer it from different perspectives so that no matter what you were thinking in your mind, I will do my best to address it. This is your question on the screen, so let me show you what I've done. You see, this is the explanation page I made, and you see there's a result output, and there's an extracted data. This result output is a result of two API calls. If I click on this, you'll see that it's an array that has two arrays, array at index 0 and array at index 1. The array at index 0 is the API call for the Mules API, and the array at index 1 is the API call for the likes array. Then for the extracted data, you see I kind of combine the two array into a single array so that one can easily work with it. If I click on this is a single array that has a combined data. If I click at index 0, you see the array at index 0 has another array with a subarray with two index 0 and 1. Index 0 has the normal details, while index 1 has the likes from this array at index 1 here. I extracted, if you can look at it very well, this is for the likes, this is the item underscore ID, and it's equal to the ID meal. They are equal. So I extracted the number of likes for each meal and match them together to have this extracted data. I'm just doing this in case that was what you were trying to ask. So back to the VS Codium. You see, on line 8, I declared the API, that's const meal API URL and const meal likes API, const meal likes URL. There are two different URLs. So on 19, this is where I fetched the data and returned it for the meal API, and on line 17, I returned it for the meal likes API. Now, I want to combine the two data together, and how do I do this? On line 21, I created a function called retrieve all data. That's the combined data for the meal API and the likes API. So I want to await for the result. I want to work on the two responses when they are all available, since these are async calls. They'll return at different times, so I'll wait for them to return together. Once the two of them are fulfilled, then the result of this will be available. So await promise.all. I now passed in the two arrays, different arrays, that's the two API calls, and that's what, when I console logged here, that was what we saw outside. Okay, then what else do I do inside this function? Inside this function, I say result at 0.meals.map. If you look at this result of the resultant effect of the two arrays, result at 0. So you see result at 0.meals. So you see this meals here. Then the inner items of the array.map. I want to do something, but before I do anything, I want also to look at the results at index 1 dot for each, If we go for result at index 1, you see, this is it. So for each, once we pick a particular, let me put it this way, if we pick array at index 0 in the mill array, let's say this one, what we will now do is, we will now go through, loop through, sorry, I'm coming down rather, for this. We will now loop through this 26 array length of 26 elements and look for the item with the same similar ID with the one we selected earlier on. So once we have from the two arrays they have the same ID, we'll now match the two data together, and this is how we did that. I said if mill dot, that is the first on line 27, result at index 0 dot mills dot map mill, then there's a subarray within that place. I said result at index 1 dot for each, again for each, then the like, for this is the mill, when you map the individual mill and this is the individual like, once we are iterating through the likes array. So inside I said if mill dot id mill, so this mill is coming from the outer map, and this particular like is coming from line 29. That's the result at index 1 dot for each. So when you now pick that particular like, that's like for that particular, from the selected likes array, you compare the two. If they have the same ID, you know that it belongs to kind of the same mill that the person liked or something like that. So what I did is I created on line 11, you can see there's what we call the let extracted data be this. So it's an empty array. So I said extracted data dot push, and then I created an array that has two subarrays in it. Here I push the mill at index 1, then I pushed this the mill rather at index 1, then I pushed the like at index 2. So by the time we loop through, we'll map through the whole array of mill, we must have been able to filter the arrays that have likes that have tallied with the mill IDs, and we can now combine that to work on it or do anything we want to do with. So if that was not what you're thinking of, it was just how to map, you could just easily do it this way. So from the extracted array, I now had to extract the array.map. Now we have a new, let me show you again. This is the extracted array. You can see each element of the array now has a subarray with two positions. Array at index 0, if you go look at it, it has the details for the mill at index 0. That's array at 0 0. Then array at 0 1 will have the likes. So peradventure you want to work on the data together, it's simple. You can easily do that. Display the way you want. Okay, this is the VS Code, but I'll come to the VS Code, but let me explain the VS Code coding before going there. So you can see when I extracted this .map return, I had to, return this is a div. On each iteration, I return the div, then I give it a key from the element of what I passed in here, because this is the extracted data now. Then dot item underscore ID to make it unique, each div a unique. Then this this should be I think the name of the meal, and this should be the image, and this should be how you should display your images. If you are iterating through, you are mapping or going through, iterating through any array of data, then the likes are here, and you can see the likes is from a totally different call, but I was able to merge it from the above steps. Then I return the result. The result here is basically the result of the combined data. Then I called retrieve all data or what have you. Then when you do that, this is where I displayed it. But on this particular page, I didn't put all the code. But let me show you something. I was trying to build it gradually to explain it very well to you. So let me go to the VS Code. For the VS Code, yeah, this is it. Almost a repetition of the same code, but you see on line 52 we have display, and if we come to line 6, that's where we define the display. We used use state, because display set display use state on the initial state it should be set to loading. Then when you've been able to get the data and you want to display the current data after you've updated, you've extracted or whatever you've done, whatever was on your mind that you decided to ask, on line 41 you can set the state, then call the display data. Line 32 I said let display data equals to extracted data.map, and I look through it. So once this return now, it as it's looping through, it's returning on each iteration. The whole loop, the whole result of this, what is looped here, will be now set to be equal to this display data. Yeah, and once I now call the function set display data and set it to the display data, it will automatically update the state, and the result of on the page will be displayed. And I actually didn't use a slice way of calling API here because that was not what you asked, but I was trying to do my best to kind of explain it to you using audio visuals like I'm doing here, because maybe sometimes some people prefer learning through audio visuals, and that was what I was trying to do. So let me go back to the web page and show you the code from the VS Code, the complete code. If I come here and you see this is it. The design is there's little or no design, just to display and show you how you can do that. API call test, the name of the meal, the image. This likes is now coming from the other API call. So this is a combination of two different APIs to display in a single API. But if we're just the image we're trying to display, it's way easier. You just go through, you map through, and if it were just the image you wanted to display, from calling the API, once you from the return, before you return, you can now put the other details under it, like this particular detail here, and you now use your set state before you return or do anything. You make sure you update your states from that API call or any other function you want to create, And in programming, there's no one way of doing anything, and there are several ways you can approach this through maybe creating different functions, async functions. You can still approach it through using the promise.all. You can approach it using a combination of it and what have you. So what I would advise you to do basically is try to study more about promises, try to understand async await, and I feel you would very much be okay. And I hope my explanation was not too bad or too confusing, I would try to also add a link to the GitHub code. I'll push the code to GitHub, the completed code. It's not actually optimized, so you can optimize it, or it's just to show you how you can do it. It's not to tell you that this is the best code in the world, no. So I'll push it and hopefully share the GitHub link so that you can also have a look at the code and see it for yourself. I hope I've done my best to explain to you, and I wish you a very, very good journey in your programming, a very, very smooth journey as you code along. Thank you.